You've been told to chase success, to work harder, wake up earlier, grind longer. You've been told to change your life through force, through motivation, through another fleeting jolt of inspiration. But no one told you the truth. No one told you that success isn't something you chase, it's something you install. Like software, like a system, a pattern, a rhythm of being. And once it's installed, it doesn't need motivation anymore. It runs. Like the sun rises, like the earth spins, like gravity holds your feet to the floor, it becomes law. There is a force behind every man who rises. A force that doesn't care about talent, education, or even timing. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't wait. It simply multiplies what you feed it. And that force is the cosmic habit force. Every thought you repeat, every word you say, every decision you make without even realizing it. That's not just habit, that's law at work. Most men live their entire lives never realizing they've installed their own failure. Through laziness repeated, through doubt rehearsed, through self-talk soaked in fear. They don't fail because they're weak. They fail because they practiced failure until it became second nature, until the cosmic habit force locked it in. But here's the truth no one told you. You are already under its control. The question is, are you controlling it, or is it controlling you? You do not rise by emotion. Emotion fades. You rise by repetition. You rise by making the difficult thing the default. You rise by programming your mind to act, not when it feels like it, but because it's been wired to. That's the transformation. That's when you stop waiting for the mood to strike and become the man who strikes regardless of the mood. And it all begins with one truth. Success is not a gift. It is not inherited. It is installed. Through systems, through rituals, through behavior repeated so relentlessly it becomes identity. Not something you do, something you are. You think greatness is grand? You think it roars? No. Greatness whispers. Greatness is quiet. It happens in dark mornings when no one is watching, in the choices you repeat when no one is applauding, in the voice you speak to yourself when failure knocks at your door. This isn't about hype, it's about wiring. It's about planting seeds in the only soil that never lies, your subconscious. Because what you plant there, through thought and emotion and repetition, will grow. Period. No exceptions. That's the cosmic habit force. It's not judging you. It's multiplying you, and if you plant chaos, you get more chaos. If you plant fear, you get more fear. If you plant discipline, you get freedom. So I'll ask you again, what are you practicing every single day? Because whether you admit it or not, you are installing something. And the man who understands this doesn't rely on willpower. He doesn't negotiate with his impulses. He doesn't beg for motivation. He builds systems. He builds identity. He makes success the inevitable outcome of the way he lives, not the thing he hopes to catch. Every morning ritual is a vote for who you are becoming. Every time you get up when your mind says sleep. Every time you execute when your body says wait. Every time you speak power when your emotions scream doubt. You are casting a vote, and those votes build a man. Not overnight, not in a week, but always, inevitably. And when the repetition crosses the threshold, when the pattern cements itself into the nervous system, that's when the cosmic habit force takes over. And suddenly, you're no longer pushing, you're being pulled. And when you are pulled, it feels different. It feels inevitable. The friction you once fought is replaced by flow. You're not forcing yourself to act, you are drawn to act. Because the man you've become doesn't hesitate. He doesn't waver. He doesn't wonder if today is the day. That's when everything changes, not on the outside, but inside. That's when you stop negotiating with your goals. You stop needing a reason. You stop seeking a push. Because your very nature has been rewritten. Your impulses have been repurposed. Your instincts now serve your vision. And that is when you stop surviving and start rising. But understand this, no man stumbles into that power. You don't wake up one day transformed. You build it. Through decision, through precision, through 1,000 repetitions when no one else sees. You show up when it's boring. You repeat when it's hard. You persist when your emotions rebel. And that is what the average man refuses to do. That is what makes the installed man uncommon. Most men are driven by how they feel. They wait to feel motivated, wait to feel ready, wait for the timing to be perfect. But the man who understands the cosmic habit force, he installs his response before the moment arrives. He prepares before the crisis. He trains his behavior so deeply that when life hits, he doesn't flinch. He responds automatically because the code has been written, because the engine is already running. Let me say this clearly. You will not rise by accident. No one becomes powerful by chance, and yet most live like they might. They dabble, they wish, they try, but they never install. They never cross the threshold from effort to automation. And so their life is a loop. Start, stop, fall, repeat. But you, if you're listening now, you have a choice. You can become the architect. You can choose the habits. You can train the rituals. You can install the man you were born to be. Do not wait, because the law doesn't wait. It multiplies what you repeat. If you keep planting excuses, you'll grow failure. If you keep watering delay, you'll harvest regret. But if you plant discipline, if you feed it with repetition, if you protect it with intention, then success stops being a theory. It becomes inevitable. And it begins with this. What does your day look like? Not your dreams, not your goals, your repetitions. What do you say to yourself when no one's around? What do you do the moment you wake up? What do you practice when no one is checking? Because those are your seeds, and they will grow. You don't need to overhaul your life in one grand sweep. You need to identify the installations, 3 habits, 5 max, powerful, simple, aligned with your vision. Review your purpose every morning. Execute a hard task before the world wakes. Visualize your target before breakfast. These aren't chores, they are codes. They are the input that becomes identity. Because repetition is louder than willpower. Emotion is the key, persistence is the gatekeeper, and once those locks click into place, the subconscious obeys without question. And when the subconscious obeys, the battle shifts. It's no longer a war between what you want and what you do. They become the same. Desire and action begin to speak the same language. Your feet move in harmony with your mind. Your hands work in agreement with your thoughts. And your days, no matter how chaotic the world becomes, remain structured by you, not by circumstance, not by distraction, not by emotion. This is not inspiration, this is integration. Understand, the subconscious mind does not care what you want, it only cares what you repeat. It cannot tell the difference between lies and truth. It believes what it hears most, feels most, and sees most. This is why most men are slaves to their past. Not because the past is stronger, but because they rehearse it. They replay the same doubts, the same fears, the same stories until the subconscious accepts it as law. But if you repeat new commands, I rise with purpose, I act with discipline, I execute despite fear, and you speak them with emotion, you begin to reinstall the code. You speak to the subconscious like a commander, not a beggar, and slowly it obeys, first with resistance, then with cooperation, then with momentum. And once momentum arrives, everything accelerates. You begin to attract thoughts, people, environments, and results that mirror your new internal programming. You no longer seek alignment, you are alignment. Your outer world begins to reflect your inner world, not because of luck, but because of law. You will feel resistance, always. Every new standard you install will agitate the old one. That's not failure, that's friction. That's the death rattle of a lesser version of you. Do not mourn it. Kill it, starve it, replace it. Every time you act in alignment with your higher self, the old identity weakens. It becomes quieter, less convincing, less powerful, and eventually irrelevant. You are not the man you were, you are the man you practice being. So what will you practice? Complaining or creating, wishing or wiring, drifting or directing? Because your future isn't shaped by what you hope for, it's shaped by what you repeat with intensity. Hope fades, repetition remains. It digs grooves in your brain. It builds reflexes in your body. It hardens belief in your heart. And when all three align, thought, behavior, and identity, you become unshakable. There will be days when the fire fades, when doubt creeps in, when quitting whispers sweet lies in your ear. But that's the moment you must remember. Installed habits do not negotiate. They act, they move, they do what must be done, whether you feel like it or not. And that's the real freedom. Not to feel good all the time, but to do what's right even when you don't. Not to be perfect, but to be programmed. Because when success is installed in your bones, failure no longer fits. And once failure no longer fits, you stop fearing it. It loses its grip. It becomes noise, distant, irrelevant, incapable of steering your decisions. Because when your identity is forged through repetition, your movements are no longer determined by comfort. They're guided by conviction. The work gets done, the steps get taken, the rituals get honored, not out of pressure, but out of alignment. This is not forced, this is flow. And flow is earned through installation. Installation happens when you stop dabbling, when you stop dipping your toe in the waters of discipline and start diving headfirst into your new standard. It happens when you no longer treat habits like suggestions, but like sacred agreements with your future. Because that's what they are. Every habit is a vow, a declaration, a message to your destiny that says, this is who I am becoming, and I will not stop until I become him. And the man who keeps those vows, quietly, consistently, especially when no one is watching, that man cannot be denied. Because the law does not deny devotion, it rewards it. It multiplies it. It bends the universe around those who honor their repetitions. So I ask you again, what are you repeating? And more importantly, what are you becoming because of it? Every skipped ritual is a broken promise. Every delayed task is a seed of chaos. Every excuse is a subtle agreement with defeat. But every act of discipline, that is an agreement with greatness. Every affirmation spoken in the mirror when you don't believe it yet, that is an act of war against the past. Every step taken when your legs are tired, that is evidence. Evidence that you're no longer powered by emotion, you're powered by installation. And when you're powered by installation, everything changes. You stop needing to remember who you want to be because you've become him. You don't visualize the identity, you wear it, you breathe it, you walk into every room with it, stitched into your body language, carved into your schedule, echoed in your language. And others will notice, not because you told them, but because it radiates. Because identity can't be faked. It can only be forged. And that forging happens in the unseen, the unnoticed, the uncelebrated hours. It happens when you keep going, not once, but again and again, until the cosmic habit force looks upon your patterns and decides this is who you are now. And once it decides, it locks in, it makes it hard to go backward, it makes it harder to stop than to keep going. That's when you know you've crossed the line. That's when mediocrity has lost its grip. That's when the old you is a stranger and the new you is a machine. But not cold, not heartless, focused, alive, free. Because that's what this process leads to, freedom. The kind of freedom that comes from knowing your mind is an ally, not an obstacle. That your patterns serve you, that your systems carry you, that you no longer fight yourself. That's when you win, not because you stumbled into it, but because you installed it. And when success is installed, it no longer needs applause, it doesn't need validation, it doesn't even need to be seen, it just is. You become the man who does, not the man who talks about doing. You become the standard in a world of exceptions. You become the rare presence that makes others feel their own distractions, their own hesitation, their own lack of structure, simply by existing. But let me warn you, most men will never reach this point. Not because they aren't capable, but because they won't persist through the installation phase. They confuse motion with momentum. They confuse effort with identity. They try a new habit for 3 days, expect results, and then say it didn't work. But it's not that it didn't work, it's that they didn't repeat it long enough. Because repetition isn't sexy, it's not loud, it doesn't sparkle, it doesn't shout for attention, but it is the only thing that turns change into permanence. That's why your goal isn't to get it perfect, your goal is to get it installed. You don't need intensity once, you need consistency daily, even when it feels dull, especially when it feels dull, because dull repetition is the hammer that reshapes the subconscious. It's the chisel that carves discipline into your nervous system. It's the rhythm that calls the cosmic habit force into motion. That's the truth the world won't tell you, because it's not marketable. It doesn't sell overnight transformation. But it's the truth that builds unshakable men. And make no mistake, this force does not judge. It multiplies. It doesn't care whether you repeat strength or weakness, discipline or delay, vision or confusion. It doesn't care what you believe, it only cares what you do, over and over with emotion and intention. That's the lever. That's the code. So if you've been feeding it chaos, expect chaos. If you've been feeding it fear, expect limitation. But if you've been feeding it purpose, structure, alignment, devotion, then you are walking into power the world can't take from you. Because it's no longer external, it's installed. And when your power is installed, you stop being reactive. You stop bouncing between moods. You stop being a slave to your environment. Instead, your environment starts bending around you. Your presence starts shaping the room, not because you say more, but because you need to say less. When your habits are loud, your words can be quiet. This is how kings move, with certainty, with simplicity, with rituals that are sacred not because they're fancy, but because they are reliable, predictable, locked in, like the sun rising, like the tide turning, like the man who says, "This is who I am," and then proves it every day. Not through perfection, but through pattern. And if your patterns are clean, then your life will be too. So I ask again, what do you do when you wake up? What do you say when you're alone? What do you think when it gets hard? Because those are the repetitions that shape your destiny. Not your goals, not your dreams, not your feelings, your repetitions. And when those repetitions are aligned, not random, not borrowed, not reactive, but intentionally aligned, something begins to shift. Quietly at first, internally. Your mood may still fluctuate, but your movement won't. Your mind may still whisper doubts, but your body won't pause. You won't need to feel certain, because your actions already are. You've rehearsed this, you've embedded this, you've become this. And the world, it responds, not out of kindness, but out of reflection. Because the world is not giving you what you deserve, it's giving you what you rehearse. Every win you collect is a mirror of your practice. Every opportunity that finds you is drawn to your structure. It is not magic, it is not chance, it is not meant to be, it is law. You are never punished for neglecting your habits. You are shaped by that neglect. You are never rewarded for installing structure. You are rebuilt by it. Your reality bends to the weight of your repeated thoughts, your daily disciplines, your chosen phrases, your emotional rituals. So if your life feels random, check your rhythm. If your days feel chaotic, check your repetitions. If your goals feel distant, check your identity. Because here's the secret nobody talks about. The most powerful men don't have more talent, more intelligence, or more time. They have better installations. Their systems run beneath the surface. They don't rely on hype. They don't wait for motivation. They move on command. Because the command lives within them. That's why you must become dangerous in the dark, unshakable in the silent hours, obsessive in the mundane, because that's where transformation actually happens. Not in the moment of breakthrough, but in the daily rehearsal that makes the breakthrough inevitable. And eventually, you'll notice something strange. You'll start to love the structure. You'll crave the discipline. The same behaviors that once felt like sacrifice will now feel like peace. The rituals you once had to force will begin to feel like home, not because they got easier, but because they became you. That's the moment most people mistake for talent. They'll say you're so driven. They'll say you're gifted. They'll say it must be easy for you. And you'll smile, not because they're right, but because they don't see the repetition. They don't see the invisible bricks you laid every day. The mornings you rose before the world, the moments you acted while others hesitated, the hours you chose repetition over rest. They don't see the practice, they only see the result. But you'll know the truth. You installed this. And that truth, it will live in you louder than any praise, deeper than any compliment, because it wasn't handed to you. You didn't inherit it. You earned it. Not with one heroic act, but with thousands of invisible choices. You built a life from the ground up, starting not with achievement, but with alignment, with internal structure, with the decision to become a man of law, not chance. The cosmic habit force, this silent, impartial engine of the universe, doesn't favor the gifted. It doesn't uplift the lucky. It multiplies whatever you give it. Every single day, every single hour, it watches, it records, and it responds. You are not a victim of it. You are a participant in it. You are co-creating your future with every action you allow to repeat. You are voting for your destiny with every ritual you choose to honor or abandon. That's why the highest form of power isn't in feeling unstoppable. It's in becoming unskippable. The man who never skips the process will always surpass the one who relies on emotion. Because while others drift, he installs. While others rest, he repeats. While others negotiate, he executes. And execution becomes identity. So stop asking what your life could be and start installing the version of you that can live it. Stop chasing motivation and start rehearsing the patterns that will carry you through its absence. Stop waiting for signs and start becoming the signal. The one who sets the tone, who moves first, who leads with repetition and finishes with transformation. You want your reality to change? Then change your rituals. You want your voice to carry power? Then speak power every single day. You want your body to move like a machine of purpose? Then move it with consistency until purpose is programmed into your bones. Your destiny doesn't start when the world notices you. It starts when you start noticing yourself, when you observe your own patterns with the eyes of a craftsman, when you study your daily rhythm like a scientist, when you refuse to let another day pass without reinforcing the man you're here to become. Because that man, he's not an idea. He's not a hope. He's not a dream. He is a result of repetition, of emotional clarity, of deliberate practice. And he's waiting for you to train him into existence. So decide, not tomorrow, not next week, now. Decide to lock in, to shut out the noise, to protect your inputs, to simplify your days, to build systems that serve your mission so completely that nothing short of death can break them. That's not obsession. That's alignment. That's the cost of mastery. And you, if you're still here, you are capable of it. You don't need louder goals. You don't need better timing. You need fewer exits, fewer excuses, fewer open loops that let weakness sneak in. You need to wake up with a non-negotiable plan and go to bed with the evidence that you lived like the man you said you were. And when you string together enough days like that, you won't need to chase success anymore. You'll walk in it, you'll speak it, you'll embody it. Because it won't be something you're trying to reach, it will be who you are. That is the power of installation. That is the law that governs your rise. That is the cosmic habit force. And now, it is yours to command. Speak your identity. Rehearse your rituals. Guard your repetitions. And walk as the man who was once only a vision, but who now lives in your steps, your words, your breath. You don't hope anymore. You are, and so it is.